Hello and welcome to the Car Care channel, and welcome to the 2025 Toyota Prius, the original hybrid model from Toyota. And in 2025, things are going pretty well actually. And in today's video, we're going to do a proper technical review under the hood, underneath it, inside and out, some things we like, some things we do not like, right after this. Let's start our technical review under the hood. Now, this here is the 5th generation hybrid system. Started in 23 in the Prius, and now it's in multiple other models and more are coming. Let's focus on the engine for a bit because they used a different engine in the Prius this time. This is the M20A FXS. It's a 2-liter dynamic force engine. This engine initially, a version of it came out in the 19 Corolla hatch. This has been out for a while. It's been out in the Prius since 23. So briefly, let's talk about some of the mechanical stuff. It is a 2-piece cylinder head, plastic valve cover at the top. You have hydraulic lifters and roller rockers. You do have 2 timing chains, one for the cams to the crank, one for the oil pump. Oil pump is electronically variable. You do have Toyota's D4S, so you have both port and direct injectors. Direct injectors sit underneath the intake manifold. You do have EGR with this one, hopefully, but we don't have the problems of the previous Priuses with EGR. This EGR is a little bit simpler. It sits in the front. Valve is very accessible. Everything is accessible. The cooling system on this engine does use a little bit of a fancy coolant management valves that send coolant where it needs to go and cuts it where it doesn't need to go. It does have an electronic water pump. This engine now has been around for a while. Things have been pretty good. They did have a few issues with the Corolla at the beginning, but things have been quiet. So I'd call this engine a good one. It's a really good engine. It does have electronic VVTi on the intake, oil control on the exhaust. Pretty simple engine. I mean, you look at it, it doesn't look simple, but modern standards, it is pretty simple. Doesn't have turbos, doesn't have none of that stuff, doesn't have a drive belt, doesn't have a starter. This, of course, being a hybrid, doesn't have an alternator, so things are pretty simple. Now, let's get into the hybrid system here, because 5th generation is not exactly a full-on redesign from the ground up, kind of like going 3rd to 4th. They improved on the 4th gen, and they did that very well. That has to be said. Bottom line is, the best thing about the 5th generation hybrid system, it's able to utilize more of the power of the battery. So what that translates into your driving is, you have longer EV range. You'll notice that the engine will shut off longer times. And that just adds to the efficiency. It's a much smoother driving experience, and that is pretty cool. Now, let's dig into a little bit of the details, because the hybrid battery sits underneath the back seat. That's similar to the previous generation. However, they no longer have a nickel metal hydride. It's only lithium ion. It's a 222 volt battery. So the transmission here is an eCVT transmission, not to be mistaken for a regular CVT, folks. This is probably one of the most robust transmissions. Even a manual transmission cannot come close. So this transmission is a P810. Now, it is new to the Prius, not entirely new to the Prius lineup. It's basically an improved version of the previous one. So it has improved motors, improved cooling and lubrication. This does have a dry sump system, so it has an external heat exchanger now. It does use the new fluid, so be careful with that. So something happened with the 5th gen hybrid system. In the past, you used to use the 12 volt battery that powers up the computers, which powers up the battery, and then the battery powers up the DC to DC converter, which is basically takes place of an alternator. Then that powers everything else and the battery. They switched that around. So now the 12 volt battery powers up the DC to DC converter, which then powers everything else. It just makes for a faster start and less reliance on the 12 volt battery. I feel like that's a tweak. And the Prius also can be had in all-wheel drive configuration. In that case, there's no transfer case, drive shaft, and all that. You just have a rear unit, which is an improved unit. It is actually a pretty powerful unit for the Prius. It is a Q810. Sits in the back. Note for service: it does take the Toyota new fluid, the e-transaxial fluid TE. So it doesn't take WS anymore, and they're slowly moving away from WS from the electrified cars. Now, let's talk about some observations under the hood here. I just gotta say one thing. This car is made in Japan. I mean, the quality is impeccable. Do you remember some folks, and I get why Oh, Toyota quality is gone. They don't make cars like they used to anymore. Not here. This is, yeah. It starts with the little stuff and goes into the big stuff. First, the plastic quality here is impeccable. There's no other way to say it. The steel quality and the way these, like you look at the lines, everything, the way even the little metal piece that just guards something, the finish on it is just beautiful. I wish Toyota, how could you get your Japan built quality over everywhere else in the world? Because this is just the next level. I don't see heavy use of plastic. There's a few coolant plastic connections like for the heater core or whatnot, but even those feel well. I mean, I have no concerns here from looking around. This is just business as usual. I'm just jealous that my 2024 Tundra doesn't feel this way. I wish it did because I really like that truck. But yeah, I don't have concerns here, folks. This looks... I wish all Toyotas look like this because this is just impeccable. Let's take a look underneath the 2025 ugly yellow Prius. So everything is covered up in the front. I really like the quality of these plastics. They're the better quality. I really like everything. They do give you a door for the oil filter, drain plug right here. Very simple. Anything else, gotta remove the covers, which are not difficult to remove. So look at the front suspension here. So they still have a steel knuckle, which I really like. These are bolt-on bearings. If you remember, second, third gen Prius, they had aluminum and they were not fun to remove. Let's just put it this way when this bearing goes, but this one has steel knuckle, so this is really good. Single piston caliper, small brakes, understandable for a hybrid. You have regen braking that helps. You do have a steel sway bar. This is a classic Toyota style that lasts a very long time. Steel lower control arm, that's pretty beefy and big control arm. Separate ball joint, this is a style that they've always used. McPherson strut design at the top, it's very standard. The suspension on this is basically exactly the same as the first gen Prius all the way to now. Of course, with tweaks and whatnot, but it is very familiar. And this is what makes them reliable, is they're exactly the same. One thing I want to show you, if you come around here, look at this axle. It's like, yeah, we are really serious about these axles. That's a big axle. Oh, a small stem at the end, but hey, we're gonna not look at this, we're gonna look at this. Moving on from that, exhaust. The quality of the exhaust is really good. I really like the quality of it. The thing is, catalytic converter kind of exposed. Again, they did put this metal shield here. Actually a very high quality metal shield. These braces, I just wish the shield was like a little bit more covering of this. That would be nice. Everything else is pretty decently covered. We go here. I love this. Folks, you see this in Toyotas? I hope they always do this because this is the type of flange that the worst thing that can happen to it is a gasket wears out and then you replace it and we're back in business. That's the good style that I love when they use it. So your fuel tank is right here and you notice the exhaust kind of takes a turn to avoid it. You notice the high voltage cable right here goes inside the car for the battery because the battery sits right underneath the back seat. We look at the rear suspension here. It's basically Toyota's currently, when you look at one car, you kind of see them all. Very similar style. You got trailing arm, few control arms. Everything is steel. Spring and the shock are separate. Steel knuckle. I love this. For longevity, this is what you want. Now, the rear caliper is also a single piston caliper, small brakes with an integrated parking brake. This particular style is the one you can just take off the motor, do your brakes, put it back. So can't complain about that. And then when you look here, auto manufacturers, everybody else, if you're watching, this is what we talk about. See how covered this is? All the sensors and the stuff and the wiring and everything is protected. Same thing on this side. Look, it can be done. Just hope Toyota within their own product line would always do this, because they don't. Let's take a look at the outside and the inside of the Prius. I just gotta say two things. First thing is, this is the best looking Prius ever, period. And I don't know how they can make it look better. It just looks great. Second thing is, this is the ugliest color in the world. Sorry, Toyota, they're super excited that this is an exclusive color for the new and improved look of the Prius, which is the Nightshade Edition. Yeah. And yeah, don't know why this color exists, but there it is. And yeah, just when you see it, you can't unsee it. Anyways, moving past the color, if you can gaze your eyes beyond the color, this is probably the most striking looking Prius there has ever been. I mean, a Prius is meant to be an eco car. It's the mother of eco cars. That's what its intended purpose is. But to make it look like this is a pretty interesting proposition, because thing looks good, not just for Prius, but for any car it does look good. You know, just because it's a Prius don't have to be a drab, strange looking thing. Looks pretty good. I like that this section is becoming their new thing, where the logo is here, radar sensor is right here. Notice that it's high off the ground. This is the way they integrated the light into here and brought it back in this section. It just looks the part. This actually looks pretty good. And something else, did you notice the hood is not overstyled? It just comes down. There's a line here, line there. Very basic. And that's why this car looks good. And then there is this one department in the Prius team that designed this, which did a fabulous job other than this color, that got carried away with things that any Prius owner will never care for. Probably if they would have not done it, nobody would have noticed. Save you a few bucks. Great. Things like this. Hybrid reborn. I don't know why we would say reborn when it's been going on. It's kind of the mainstream thing. That's just me. It called me old. Then we get to stuff like this. Why did we have to stamp Prius on this little trim? I mean, if it didn't say that, 110% of Prius owners would not have cared. There it is. It says Prius right there. Then we get to the interesting stuff, and this is kind of an interesting one. You notice the belt line comes here. This is where the belt line is. But then you have a little protrusion here where the mirror is and makes this window smaller. And then the door panel even goes up as well. Kind of I'm trying to understand why that is, because that actually cuts from your visibility. I mean, if this mirror was mounted here and this is a bigger window, it'll give you more visibility, but that's what they decided to do. Very brave angle on this glass. And I know it's very aerodynamic, but look at this glass. It's almost like it's a very low angle here. Usually cars will have a more standing up glass. This is very extended and it's very long. Then we go back. This one has the fixed glass. You have two little shades, and this I will look at them in a moment. And then we have the shark fin, which is now integrated in this panel. I actually really like that. It doesn't look like a one size fits all. It looks unique to this car. It's part of it. It does look pretty cool. But probably the coolest thing about the side of this car is this cutout right here. I mean, if you look at it here, the car has a dip in the body, and then there's that line that emphasizes it. It's a very brave move for a Prius. I just gotta say it. It looks great. It just gives it a huge character. Can't really tell with this color. It kind of covers that up. And then you do have these flare arches that are piano black. Very nicely painted. Those particular ones made in Japan. Very nice. And then you have the compliance thing looks completely off, which they would have somehow integrated somewhere else. Then we look at the back. This is where, and again, this looks properly nice. I mean, yeah, they really did really well with the look of this car, except this color. This color hideous. Let's talk about a few things though. Badging. This is a problem. So the Prius is the kind of the first hybrid, the proper hybrid, the one that started the hybrid revolution. Why do we need to write hybrid electric vehicle? I mean, aren't they all hybrids? Last time I checked, there was no V8 Prius, unless you make one. But why do we need to put HEV? And I understand, they had a sale on the badges, they got to put the Beyond Zero, but consumer advice for Toyota. Save money there. That would be, just get rid of that. And then Prius is really nice written here. I love the font. It just looks the part. And the trim, I like where they put the trim. It's kind of like you almost can't see it. This particular one where the trim is blacked out. And then the Toyota logo, very small, because again, we don't want to intrude on the design. The only problem with this design is the height here. This is very high, which means your glass and visibility from the inside is not great. I mean, you can't see anything out of the back. You just see too high where you can't see stuff down low where you're expecting to see. And then you remember what I told you, they got carried away with stuff no Prius owner will care about? I mean, this must have cost a lot to do. Right? Prius in the defroster grid. It's cool, but problem is this is a Prius. We don't need gimmicks like that. Moving on. I love where they put the handle button to open the back. This is actually a pretty cool place. Pretty decent size. Prius-wise, I feel like this is on the smaller side, and this slope really cuts into it. This is not the best feeling thing in the world, but it works. Let's look at the back, because previously we have reviewed a plug-in model. This is the non-plug-in model. This is a regular hybrid. I don't understand why we have this opening. This is just, you'll put something here, it'll just roll over there. I don't know why we have that. And then the second thing I don't know why is this foam storage thing white? It just, maybe they had a sale on the white foam that week they made this car, but it just looks off. And then I wish there was some kind of cover here, because everything you're going to put here is going to roll and go in that area. So why don't we just have a cover there so it'll be continuous. On this side, you do have the battery. This is a 12-volt battery. So I'm able to pop this cover. I think this is a brilliant spot for it, actually. It's very easily accessible. You just pull this panel. Battery's right here. It does take a little bit of your storage space, but I can live with that. But then in front of it, there's also that little, I don't know what you call it, no man's land, where things will roll and then end up there. I don't know why they did that. But everything else, I really like the quality of these plastics. They do give you a little bit of a felt here, just for durability. I really like this. This particular one is made in Japan. Let me fold the back seats. If you've owned a Prius before, this will look very familiar. Got plenty of space, and that is what is nice about them. Now, there is one small, very small elephant in the room, which we got to talk about. Let's come back here and look at the back door. And this is, I don't know, there was that one how should I say it? One engineer from Lexus has stopped by for a coffee that day they were designing this. The back door. So the handle is here, but it's a button. Hear that? That's actually an actuator opening the door. So over here is just an electronic button. But when they do that in cars, they have to put some kind of a manual release. Well, on the inside, it's just a regular handle. Mechanical handle. I love that. On the outside, though, they put... this is the mechanical handle. I mean, it is kind of a pain to press it. This is not a good idea. So for that one engineer that came from Lexus with these doors, why don't we just move this over here, put a little flappy handle, like I'll give you an exact example, like a 2001 third gen 4Runner has a small little handle in the back area. Just put one here, and it's a mechanical handle. Save yourself the whole headache of the latch, and we're done. But gotta make that one Lexus engineer happy. Let's take a look at the inside of the Prius. And I gotta say one thing. This is the first time that the Prius has a normal-ish interior. Because for the longest time, the gauges were in the middle, things were strange, and the strange colors, and the whole 9 yards. This one is just a normal interior, which I really like. With the exception of the gauges, we'll cover those in a bit. One thing I gotta say about this, look, this is not the highest quality materials and whatnot, although this leather really feels nice. But that's not the point of the Prius. The point of it is, it's an eco car. This interior, though, the fit finish is really good. There are a few highlights that I want to point out. It's little stuff that makes a big impact. Look at this pillar, and this is the first time I see Toyota do this. It's a two-tone pillar. It's not a big thing, but it's just aesthetically, it just looks very nice. Like, we care. This is not just a giant slob of plastic that goes down. This really looks nice. And then the steering wheel. I really like this new style steering wheel they got going on. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. This is basically does exactly what the previous one does, just rearranged. You don't have some strange heads-up display that you need to operate. No, volume, skip, cruise control, answer, whatnot, voice. Very simple. I really like it. Now, the only thing I do not like is, so the gauge is a screen, and we can live with that. It's not really a screen that's huge and displays a lot of stuff. But this is something I don't like that they got from the BZ4X, worst electric car ever. When you position the steering wheel, like let's say I want it a little bit higher, well, now it's blocking half of my gauge. You put it too high, now it's completely blocking my gauge. You put it too low, well, now I can see my gauge, but now my steering wheel is way too low. That's a problem. I feel like they really think this through. I feel like I'm going to just bold move here. I feel like the gauge being in the middle is not such a bad idea after all with a Prius because of its shape. The reason this is a problem is because of the shape. Your roof line is so low here, you can't make this dash higher, otherwise the visibility will be almost nothing. Now, the dash is a giant football field because of the angle of this glass. There's no way around this, and I get it. But let's move on beyond that, because even though this is like high-tech Prius, 5th gen, this and that, physical HVAC controls, they feel so good. I mean, the plastics here feel very nice. This works great. I'm so thankful they didn't change this. The shifter, it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing as any other Prius. You have some controls here. The phone charger, the wireless charger, you have to put your phone sideways. I mean, this is if they would have put it here, nobody would have complained, but hey, it works. Now, here's where, how should I say it? They got carried away a little bit. You have a Prius written right here, which is super nice. I mean, that is classy. It's basic. Just to remind you, this is a Prius in case you forgot. Then we get to this area right here. So this is a compartment that opens, and you can actually remove the door, which is nice in case you need it open. But then if you look inside, it says hashtag hidden compartment. I mean, that must have cost a little bit to add that in the mold and everything. And what does it do? Nothing. Again, 100% of Prius owners will not care. Glove box, pretty decent size. Now, long gone, second generation, the 2 glove boxes, but hey, it works. Center console, it's not the biggest center console in the world, but it's not the smallest. You expect that from a car of this size. Now, this particular one has a fixed glass, so you have these 2 rollers. They're literally rollers here because this is just fabric, and you can open and close them manually. Just let some sun in or block it. That works. Now, the infotainment system, this is the latest infotainment system from Toyota, the 21mm. Works pretty good. Does have moments where it's glitchy, but something interesting, the volume knob is all the way on this side. 2 ways to look at it. First, it's too far for the driver to operate, but you have it on the steering wheel. Now your passenger can operate the volume very easily. I really like this interior, folks. This is not a quiet interior. No, it's pretty loud. That's what the Prius has always been. But it is so refined, the ride in this car. I mean, the previous generation really refined the ride of the Prius finally, but this one takes it even the next level. I mean, there are moments you drive this and you forget you are in a Prius. That is, its sole purpose is economy and environment. You just forget. It just feels like a normal car. Let's go. Even pick up and go. It's not fast in any way, shape, or form, but it's perfectly fine. You don't feel like you're in some strange car like some of the previous generations were. This one is not. I really like that because it is such a comfortable place to be. Visibility is decent. The back window visibility is not good. I just got to say that, but it just feels like a great place to be, and I really like this interior. Now let's take a look at the back seat, and this is where some compromises had to happen. I'm 5'7". This is my driving position. I got okay knee room, we're good, but the headroom. I'm 5'7". You sit someone taller than me, which majority of people are, that's not a lot of headroom. It's because of the shape. The roof line is so low, you can't just physically make more headroom. And even if this didn't have the fixed glass, it's the same thing, because the fixed glass panel ends right here. You see that dip in the headliner? So it wouldn't matter. That's the compromise. Now the hybrid battery sits underneath this back seat. It's air cooled on the non-plug-in hybrid model. Now the battery fan intake is right here on the driver's side. Does have a paper filter. You got to make sure that that stays clear. That's the #1 cause of premature hybrid battery failure. So you want to make sure it's clear, clean. Keep an eye on that filter. Change it. DIY. It's super simple. I'm really glad that they started doing this. More models now. All the models have an actual paper filter that protects the fan. Now here's the thing, in the back here you have not much else. It's a comfortable seat, but headroom is a problem. You do have some USB-C in the bottom, which is okay, but hey, you can use it as a family car, but just don't plan to put a lot of tall people in the back, because that roof line is going to be in the way. So, the 2025 Toyota Prius. Folks, this generation Prius, first, let's start from the beginning in 2023. It's had a pretty successful launch. What I mean by that is, some models when they come out, the first year, they're going to have a lot of issues, and they figure out the bugs and work out the things, and everything is good. You see that with a lot of models. If you want to know a prime example of one that is not going very successfully, look at a 22 Tundra. That was not a successful launch. This one, however, things have been quiet, and the reason they're quiet because they did the hybrid system well. They didn't go overboard with the update, but they made it so much better. The engine, it's not a new engine. They just took it from something else they have, and they made it work with the 5th gen hybrid system. The whole car, there's a lot of stuff that are not new to this car, and this is what makes it special. They focused all their R&D into designing the car, making it work efficiently and well. This particular one, this color is not my favorite color, but that's a matter of taste. Forget about the color. This particular one is made in Japan. I love the quality of things. I own a 24 Tundra, and I wish my interior on a car that costs a lot more than this was like this. I mean, this is an entire plastic interior. It just feels good. Doesn't creak and rattle and feel cheap. Feels great. The paint quality is impeccable, even in this horrendous color. The finish on the piano black panels, impeccable. That's what you expect from a Toyota made in Japan. And you see it here, nothing have changed. And then the quality of things behind the scenes, the exhaust quality, everything underneath it, under the hood, everything looks great. And that is a really good sign that they still can make cars that are really high quality. They can make a few cars that are not, but not this one. The Prius, I feel like the biggest thing about this one is normalizing the Prius. This is what I'm going to call it, because for the previous generations, they've always been specific, niche, just a special car. And I feel like as time passed and as hybrids became more normal, that niche part became kind of irrelevant, because they're all hybrids. Why do we need this specific hybrid car? So in this generation, I feel like their take was, let's normalize it, because you sit in this interior, it doesn't feel like a strange place you're in. Yes, the body shape and all that, but the thing looks great. I mean, not just as a Prius, but as a car, period. It just looks great. It's not this color. There's a lot to like about this Prius, which is the quality, the fuel mileage efficiency, and it drives great, feels great, super comfortable, super usable and functional. But at the same time, got to keep things fair. There are a few things that are kind of a byproduct of this shape and this design. The rear seat headroom is a little bit of a concern. If you're planning on putting tall passengers in the back, that's going to be a problem, and that's induced by this design. The second thing is the gauge. I mean, the screen I can live with, but the location. And I understand why they had to do it this way, because of the shape, because of the giant slant of this glass. But it's just in the way. You put the steering wheel, you're blocking half of it. Now you're either looking on top or underneath the steering wheel to see it. That's kind of I wish they would have found a better solution for that, because that's not ideal. And then the door handle in the back. Don't understand it. Look, I'm happy it has a manual release right there and then, not a big issue, but don't understand why they did that. It doesn't fit this car. That's all I'll say. And lastly, the 5th gen hybrid system. Look, I love the 5th gen hybrid system. It is so smooth. It really utilizes EV range a lot more pronounced and noticeable than the 4th gen, but it's not a radical departure from the 4th gen. I'm going to call it 4.5 gen. It's an improved 4th gen, and they did that part very well. But the gas mileage is not a lot more than the previous generation. On the Prime, it is, but on the regular hybrid one, that's I'll leave that one up to you. The last thing is prices. These start in 25 around 28. They go all the way to 36 and 37 if you option them out, every little thing. But at $28,000, sounds like a lot for a Prius, and I understand that. But remember, at least it's a good car. And this is what the unfortunate thing we have to say in 25 with the car prices. It's a good car. Doesn't have disasters, doesn't have, this is about to go south and that's about to go south. It's well made, it gets good gas mileage, it's true to what it promises to deliver. And I love how it looks. I really love how it looks. Maybe not this color, but I love how it looks. Because just because you drive a Prius, don't have to be some strange spaceship that nobody likes how it looks. I think it looks great. I really like it. Folks, I hope this video is helpful and informative. I hope you learned something new. If you like it, consider giving it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, consider subscribing to the channel. Check out some other videos. Until the next video, folks, may the Lord bless you and keep you, and you have yourself a wonderful day.